You're listening to the UKC Hunting Ops Podcast, celebrating hunting dog heritage, competition, and community. United Kennel Club has been the hunting dog sports home for coonhounds, beagles, retrievers, pointers, cur, feist, and more for over 125 years.
Welcome back to the UKC Hunting Ops Podcast. I'm Trevor Wade. I'm the Coonhound Program Manager at UKC, and I'm joined today by the Director of Hunting Ops, Alan Gingrich. What's going on today, Alan?
Yeah, it's a Monday here. We're recording a little early this week, but it's a Monday, and you're back in the office. You just came back from English Day, so you're working from home, mostly remote now. It's kind of different, but it's good to have you in the office. We're working on some things here. You come in every now and then, but so yeah, kind of good to have you back here again.
Yeah, it's good to be in front of the bright lights. I forgot how bright it was down here. Put you on the spot, but by now we're over 100 episodes in. We're wily veterans of this podcast game now. Huh?
Yeah. We don't worry about the cameras and all that stuff anymore.
That's true.
What are you going to do? You know?
If they don't know how goofy I am by now, they've never figured it out.
Same here.
Well, today we're going to be talking about both of our favorite events of the year, and that's our 2024 Coonhound Youth Nationals. It's coming up pretty quick, and we're just going to talk about it a little bit today, but Youth Nationals, that's an event you've been to a lot, and you've seen a lot of people grow through it, and just a great event every year.
It is. I remember my very first one in Medina, Ohio, like it was last weekend, or last year. But yeah, there was kids that I met there, and it's different. All of our events are different, and this one's a lot different than an Autumn Oaks or a Winter Classic, or other events. It's all about the kids. It's just a different group, You go to Autumn Oaks and you call out the casts, and they're all coming up, meeting with their handlers and this and that. They're going to go to their trucks and get geared up. Here, a lot of times the kids will have their boots and hats on already. Yep. They're ready to go at 5 o'clock in the afternoon.
They'll be outside having a water balloon fight with their light on.
Yeah, and there's, when I mention kids that I remember that were in it, it kind of ages us a little bit, but I've been here for 20 years as well, So, I had this one picture, Corey Groover from Pennsylvania. We had a dunk tank, a water tank. I know we had a picture in the Candids in the magazine of some of the Candids, and there he is sitting inside in the dunk tank, which he wasn't supposed to be in there for liability purposes, but somehow he managed to make his way inside,
He never did
he's
listen.
pointing out there that way, and he knows the picture I'm talking about. But so the Corey Groovers and just a lot of, shouldn't get into names, but I'll miss somebody, but just a lot of great kids that I've seen over the years participate at Youth Nationals, and it's so cool. And a lot of those kids now also have kids, some of whom are also participating at Youth Nationals. So that's pretty cool. Yeah,
that'll be a pretty surreal when I start seeing that. That's when you've been around for a while.
Yeah, it won't be too much longer. Corey might have a couple, actually. He's got a couple of kids now.
He's got a couple. That'll be ready soon.
Yeah, but a fun event, absolutely.
Yeah. So this will actually be the 24th annual UKC Youth Nationals event. It started back in 2001 time. And it's crazy to think that it's been around for that long, but that's kind of the premier youth event on the schedule. There's a lot of great events throughout the year, but at this event in particular, we're going to be crowning 4 national champions, and that's a big deal. And it's a great accomplishment for a youth. That's a lot to get early on in your coon hunting or show career, a national championship crown. So
and I think it's pretty cool because it does have the feel of a bigger event, and it is like a national type of event for the kids.
Yep. This year's event's actually going to be on July 19th and 20th. So there in the summer, everybody should still be out of school and everything by then. And this year we kind of went off of the middle of the map, and we're going to be in Douds, Iowa at the Mid-American Coonhunters Association. We're actually going to have it at their clubhouse, and we were talking a little bit before. You've been there before.
I've been there several times, actually, for other events there at their club. Now you kind of threw me off a little bit with the Douds address because I think I was kind of questioning if it's at the same location or not, but it actually is, as I understand it. So I think before they had it, the address was it Milton or was it?
Could have been Milton or Troy. Either
Troy,
one,
I think maybe Troy, but it's at the same location. But hey, they have a lot of shade around there, a big area. There's places for folks to bring their campers in, and it is very much the old traditional type club that is set up for a lot of folks. And the clubhouse is going to be for this is may be a little bit smaller. It'll be full,
Yeah.
but I think it'll be great. They have a water pond out back for water racing and things like that. I think you're going to do some of that.
Yeah.
Have that game. So as the plot folks call it, the games we play all the games, you know, and so I know it's going to be a great location. And the other thing is we say Iowa, so we think west, or at least I do a lot of times. That's kind of out of pocket, but really this is in southeastern Iowa, right in the corner. So it's right on the Illinois, Missouri, Iowa border. It's right there. So it's not that out of pocket, I guess. It's west and north, you know, but it's not that far out of pocket. You'll get a lot of kids. I'm hoping will be able to come there for sure.
Yeah. So we stayed in pocket. It's a little bit of a walk, but you can still hear the dog here.
Yeah. Yeah. And great hunting. They have great hunting there.
Without saying, this is a club that is since I've been here, they've hosted TOC regions a couple times. They've hosted world championship zones. They've hosted blue tick days before that. And I think they used to do the fall roundup or they used to do the reunion. They used to do the blue tick reunion up there. So they're no strangers to hosting major events. And the one thing when you go to Southeast Iowa is you're going to be in raccoons.
Yeah, that's it. You know, it's a little bit rolling. They're not steep hills or anything by any measure, but it's a little bit rolling there, right in that immediate area. But you're right; they have a great coon population. Good hunting.
So the address that I actually talked to Tim, you mentioned Tim Gilchrist. He's one of our field reps, and he knows it all. I called him up there to try to get an exact address for our event ad. And he gave me the address, 18699 Yak Boulevard in Douds, Iowa, 52551. So that's on our event ad. It's on our events calendar. So go there and find that. But they suggested not only him, but Tyler Batterson, who's the guy who we talked to at the club, the contact at the club, both suggested to take a look at the directions on how to get there because the GPS around there can be a little tricky. It's kind of right on the line of where two roads meet and where some cities might meet and things like that. So I think Wheat Avenue actually turns into Yak Boulevard, like right on the line of where the club is. So it can be a little bit tricky. So make sure you double check the directions and give yourself a little bit of time to get there. Take that in consideration. Maybe leave 20 minutes earlier than you thought you would to make sure you get there in plenty of time. So let's talk about the history of youth nationals, not in the context of the entire history of the event, but about it being in Iowa. This will actually be the first time it's been in Iowa. So for the second year in a row, we're going to a first-time state. Obviously, we're in Elizabethtown, Kentucky last year, Kentucky for the first time, and this year we're going to be in Iowa for the first time. And
I'm actually kind of surprised that we've never been in Iowa before. You know, we've been on the other side of the country, Pennsylvania, a time or two, but yeah, Iowa, and especially here. This is just must be a good location, and glad you can make it work out to go there.
Yeah, this is an area, and I will talk about it a little bit. The host club's super excited. The local area is super excited. They have like a Southeastern Iowa Youth Series that they run over 5 separate clubs, and I'm not going to name the clubs because I'll leave one out, but they accrue points through those 5 youth events, and if you go and look at those 5 clubs, YEP events over the past several years, you're going to see great participation, and the kids are interested in it. They're supporting the clubs. And I'm really glad to have it there because when a club and an area and a group of clubs are putting in that much effort into it, they deserve an event like this. And the kids that are participating in it deserve an event like this where they don't have to drive 12 hours to the event.
You know, I'd say we've probably been more in the Midwest or a little further east more times than we have in some of the outlining areas. You know, I can tell you since I've been here, we've had events in some of those outlining areas where we've done very well number-wise. The Carolinas, I remember we did very well in North Carolina, Oklahoma, you know, Missouri, Western Missouri, Oklahoma. That was good. Pennsylvania was great. You know, a lot of places like that. You know, and just you'd like put it somewhere where everybody can participate or not have to drive so far. But it's going to be far for somebody.
Yeah.
You know, and but if we can kind of move it around a little bit and that's not to discourage those that have further to go. We want them to be able to come if they can. And you know what? I've heard a lot of talk here. I think, I don't know if it was you were involved in this conversation, but we were talking with somebody, a club, who is paying for some of their club kids to go to the Nationals. Mm-hmm. And that's a great thing that clubs do that. It helps some kids in their area that might have to go a little further than some years, that they're helping them with expenses to get there and ways to get there. So that's good. It's good to see that.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. And actually, if you wanted, I've made a note here that if you wanted to hear Tyler Batterson talk about that Southeastern Iowa youth series, we actually talked about on this podcast back on episode 54. It was where I was at National Blue Tick Days, and I talked to some folks there, and he was one of the guys I talked to. So go back there and listen to that, and that'd be a great listen.
Just comes back to me where I heard that. It was you and Jamie Eastep, I think, talking about it on a podcast here a week or two ago. Where Jamie, I think it was in West Virginia, where they're helping that state association or somebody was helping some kids get out.
Exactly. Yep, you're exactly right. Yep. So hey, let's get into the kind of the bones of the event here. I'll talk about the schedule a little bit, and the event's going to kick off on Friday night. The deadline for the hunt is 8 p.m. A $10 entry fee and a 90-minute hunt. We'll be doing entries on the grounds. There's no qualifications necessary for this event. Just need a licensed dog. Come up and enter your dog. Be under 17 or younger, you can enter. The master of hounds for both nights is going to be Mr. Tim Gilchrist of Milton, Iowa. He's one of our field reps, works a lot of events in the year, so you're going to be in good, capable hands there.
Yep, he's one of our field reps. Hey, talking about me going out there, I do have a little story, and this would be a good time to insert it. So
Yeah.
I drove all night one night to get out there. Took off late in the, I don't know, it might have been 8, 10 o'clock at night when I took off from Indiana, or I may have been living in Michigan already. But I go out there. I think it was after I worked here. I go out there, I drive all night, and I get there like 6, 7 o'clock in the morning. It was just breaking daylight. And I pull into a gas station. I was tired of driving all night. I'm there right in Milton, I think it was, at a little gas station. I just pull in there, and I just stop up there, and I look in my rearview mirror, and here's a cop comes up behind me, turns his lights on a little bit there, and I'm like, what in the world have I done? The first thing, I get into this little town, one light town,
Yeah.
and here I'm getting pulled over. A cop follows me in a gas station. He's got his lights on. He got me blocked in. So I'm like, what in the world? And then this guy gets out and he walks up there, and it's Tim Gilchrist. It's your master hound.
That's your master hound.
He was already,
there.
And I knew him, but for some reason I just forgot that he used to be a reserve sheriff there, or work for the sheriff's office there in town. But I'll always remember that.
You can always count on Tim for a good laugh.
Yeah,
Good as they come.
yeah. I had tried to call Tim a little while ago, and I'm getting a phone call right now. I guess it's not him, but I thought it might be. Call him back. Yeah, Tim, he'll be a good one too.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
Yep.
So the way the hunt works is there's 2 separate divisions. We're going to draw out into a category of 5 to 12-year-olds, and then a category of 13 to 17-year-olds. And they'll hunt separately. The dog's titles or ages or none of that matters. It just goes by the ages of the handlers in the hunt. And each night we will distinguish or recognize the top 10 high scoring, 1st through 10th place, on both Friday and Saturday night. And each of them are going to get a little bit, they'll get a trophy, and they'll also get a light from Bright Eyes Lights here. Ray Conrad has been a huge proponent of the youth. I don't know how, ever since I've been here, and probably before that. And 24 lights he donates to this event. And that's not cheap.
No, it's not. 20 of them that are going to go for the Youth Nationals winners. You mentioned top 10 places each night, Friday night, and then 10 places again on Saturday. But yeah, those lights just came in last week. They came in here to the office, all of them that were going to take the Youth Nationals. And right there's the one that we're giving away. And that is a great little light. It's I kind of checked it out again when it came in. I pulled this one out of the box. But yeah, it's a good light. Has the amber lens on it, and it's just a perfect little light, and especially for kids here. It's not his most expensive one, but it's a good light, and this is the perfect light for kids. I'm telling you, 20 of those little guys we're going to give away. But yeah, little hard bump cap there and everything. That's a pretty nice prize. 1st through 10th places.
Absolutely. I'm looking at it here. It's got the sticker on the side, and it has Avery edition on there, alluding to Avery Davis, who Jeremy Davis's young son, who passed away tragically in the past year or two.
Yeah.
I talked to Jeremy Davis this past weekend at English Days. He was set up there. Obviously, he owns a company, Carolina Coon Hunters, and he's actually going to be there.
That's good.
Going to have his daughters with him, and he's got kind of a whole Avery line, but it just tells you what kind of person is that Ray is, to put that on there.
Yeah, that's his son, and that's it'll be good for the kids that win these to know what that means, and why that's on there and everything. Some of which will know exactly what it is, and others won't. But So yeah, that's a good thing he's doing in memory of his son.
Yep. And Mr. Davis gave me a whole bag full of stuff for either raffle or to add as a prize package for winners. So they're at English Day, so I got that in the truck to bring in here, and that'll be great.
Yeah.
Be great stuff.
Yep.
So that's Friday night. We got just the hunt. On Saturday, it's going to be a little bit busier. We start out pretty early. There's going to be some, I've talked to Tyler, there's going to be some activities going on. I'm not sure exactly what they have planned, but they always have, you usually see cornhole boards or some kind of water games or something to keep the kids cool because it is summer. It's hot out. So there'll be some stuff going on, but at 2 o'clock is whenever the UKC stuff gets underway, and we'll start out with our bench show seminar at 2 o'clock. And this year, I think it's pretty cool. Our bench show judge and the one who's going to be heading the seminar is Miss Autumn Beeland, who lives in Haverhill, Iowa. I have Autumn Beeland on here. She's Autumn Bingham now, so I apologize for that.
She's married. Hey, there's another one that used to came up through our youth series, and her and her sisters, they've done very well, showing and hunting at youth nationals over the years. And so, yeah, that's perfect that she's going to be helping this year, judging the show and doing the seminar. It's awesome.
Yeah, I was going to say, if you look back through the past 20 years of youth nationals, coonhound bloodline issues, you're going to see Autumn and her sister on there a lot. They had a lot of success at this event. They've grown through this event. I've talked to her several times, just corresponding back and forth through email about her seminar, and she's really excited about it. I think she's got a presentation put together, and not just the kids, but I'm looking forward to it. The parents should be huddled around because I think there's going to be a lot to learn from her. She's a really good handler.
Hey, I will say this, the first time when we kind of changed the format for the show for youth nationals to where it's based on the kids' age and all this and that. And one of the reasons for the seminar is for the judge to kind of let the kids know what it is that they're going to be looking for. That's also why it's important to be there. But I want to give a little plug in for Penny Turner, who was the first one that did the first seminar under this format. And I feel like she did such a great job. Penny was also a school teacher. So she did such a great job with that very first one. And I'm telling you, it kind of created a template, or she kind of created a template even without maybe knowing that, for seminars to come that just kind of passed on down the year after year. And that's a good thing. So thanks to Penny, and those that have done it after her can, could go back and look to what others have done. Last year, Kayla Cooper did one that was really good. It was a little different, but
very interactive.
Very interactive. And so, yeah, we appreciate what these folks, the judges, have done and their input at the Youth Nationals. Very beneficial, and it's very informative and educational.
That's right. And they all seem to have their way of keeping the kids' attention, and that's a great thing to do.
Yeah, I don't know if you still do it. You've done the last 4 or 5 years now with it, but the other thing I always like to try to do is there's always other Autumn Beelans out there, professional handlers, so if you want to call them that, very experienced, that if kids needed a little one-on-one help there, that we can always make that possible for them. There's always volunteers there that would volunteer their time, and I always love things like that.
Yeah.
So it's just to help them a little bit on that morning before the show. Somebody needs a little help, wants a little help, why, just ask. We'll try to set somebody up to give you a little one-on-one time to help.
I like that.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I always like that.
Don't ever be scared to come up to the table or talk to one of us, and we'll get you hooked up and get you a little teaching or schooling. I may not be the person, but I could find you the right person.
Find somebody. That's right. I remember one year, who was it? I think the Myers is out in Pennsylvania. They helped Kelly and Dave. Both of them helped, and just 4 or 5 people, and it's kind of cool to see that.
Yeah, absolutely. Don't have a specific time for this, but right after the bench show seminar ends, while everybody's still there huddled, I'm going to start our Spotlight Series award ceremony, which I've tried to increase the eyes on it and put it at that time now. So let's say probably if the seminar took an hour, it's usually around 3 o'clock, 3:15. So hopefully you get there for the seminar. If not, at least be there by 3 o'clock for the Spotlight Award ceremony. And there I'll be awarded. We actually started doing this last year where we didn't just talk about the winners, but I talked about the entire top 5 and gave them each a certificate and brought them up and recognizing them in front of their peers. They earned it by accruing points through the years and winning events at the local at the youth shows across the country. So we're going to be doing that right after the seminar there on Saturday.
Yeah,
And
that's always a fun thing to do. Is always fun for me too to recognize those kids and yeah, it's just so cool. Again, it goes back to I can see a lot of the kids still sitting there in some of those, and kids that are now a lot of them that are now married, moved on, that also have. It's just cool.
yeah,
Youth National is just such a cool thing.
yeah,
The history of it, and still as it goes on, it's fun.
yeah. And we'll be recognizing the Spotlight Series winners on this podcast at some point. We haven't, as of the time of this recording, we haven't finalized the standings, but that will be coming up. So, and speaking of the Spotlight Series, Youth Nationals will be a double points event. So if you win your cast there, it's double points. If you win your age class in the show, it's a double points event. So it's kind of here, the Spotlight Series started June 1st, so it's early on in the year. If you do good here, it can set you on a good path for the entire year. So
Yeah.
another plus of it. So. And then not long after that, we'll have the non-licensed bench show. That's at 4 p.m. A $10 entry fee for that. And the bench show, get a few questions about it every year. It's a little bit different. It's non-licensed, obviously, because we don't go by the dogs categories, and there's no grand champion, male and female, that sort of thing. What we do is we split the kids by the handlers by their age. So we'll start out with 5-year-olds, then to 6-year-olds, 7, and so forth, all the way up through 17, picking the age winners from each one. And I think that's kind of a good way to do it. It depends less on a person getting a world-class dog, and it has more so to do with just you competing against other people in your age category.
Yeah, and I think it really that's it. They're only competing against, the 8-year-olds are competing against other kids in their skill set, their age level, instead of maybe competing against a well-seasoned 16, 17-year-old. And I can tell you, it's not like it was 25 years ago before we had all these youth events. These kids nowadays, the teenagers that have been showing for a good little while, they can compete, and they can compete with the adults. Some of them are just it's amazing how good some of them are. The other thing I like to see here is that is neat to watch is the progression, their skill progression. As from 5, 6, 7, you get up in the 11 and 12-year-olds, you're just sitting back like, holy cow.
That's right.
And so yeah, it's more like a 4-H type event. They judge the dogs to a certain degree, but they're also very much judging the kids and their handling skills and how they handle, how they present, and things like that. And it's for all those reasons that the kids need to be in the judge's seminar.
That's right.
If they don't know what the judge is looking for, and they won't know unless they're in the seminar.
Yeah.
It's not like we announce it or we have it published anywhere else. They're going to find that out in the seminar. They want to be there for that. Don't miss it.
Yeah. And like you said, the Autumn is going to be looking at the dog a little bit, but she's mostly going to be looking at the kids' showmanship, and just be cognizant of that, when you're going into it. Maybe do some practice and practice keeping your dog between you and the judge, and practice knowing what, if she tells you to go down and back, kind of know what that means. And one thing I like to always tell them, and when she gets down to the nitty gritty, especially the older kids in the senior division, you better kind of know a little bit about the rule book, the breed standards, the anatomy of the dog, because she's probably going to ask you a couple questions. It's going to be pretty tight, and that's going to be something that they depend on, is kind of see your knowledge and if you've been studying it and how invested you are in bench show program.
That is, and the one thing that I always tried to push a little bit is to do your homework and work with the dogs that you have at home. You don't have to have a national winning type dog here to be able to compete at this show. Your dog's going to be, they're going to judge your dog some and a little bit, but it's, you can do a whole lot with what you already have, and learn. They need to lead well, gait well, get him to trot well, walk when they need to, also get the dog to just a nice slow trot. But I think we can say it now for kids that are something for you to work on at home before you get to youth nationals. Work on your dog a little bit. Mm-hmm. Hopefully you've done your homework as far as not just showing them on the bench, but also to gate them, and some things like that is going to be very helpful and beneficial to you when it comes to the show.
Absolutely. Correct. And the way the awards work here is that each age winner. So if they pick if you're the winner of your age class, you're going to get a trophy. Second and third will both get a ribbon. I think second gets a red ribbon, third gets a white ribbon. And probably when we're done with the junior portion of it, we'll bring back the 5 to 12-year-old age winners and crown our junior national champion. And then when we're done with the 13 to 17-year-old winners, we'll bring back those age winners, compete against each other for the crown of senior national show champion. Yep. And those national champions are going to get a nice trophy to commemorate their win, and then a nice embroidered jacket to wear around, wear it automos to show off to everybody that you're a national champion. Yeah. So it's good stuff.
Yeah, that's cool. Hey, if there's one thing I can go back on that we were talking about things to do at the Youth Nationals as far as handling dogs goes, another one that I used to like to use here is pay attention to what the order is that's in the show ring and be at ringside for the next class.
That's right.
And I think when they talked about that at the seminar, tried to push that, kids really responded to that as well, because if you're not there when your dog is called, ready to go, the judge is going to look at that.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's a little black mark against you. And it's just a good thing to always do at any show is to pay attention what's going on and be there. Be ready and be there when you're called.
Yeah, absolutely. So one thing that we added this year, and that was because of the club really wanted me to, I had a conversation with Tyler, and they wanted to have a licensed water race here. They have they have a pond there on site. So we decided to add a licensed water race to the event, and we're going to do that at 6 p.m. Hopefully the bench show should be done by then. So $5 entry fee for that. So a little something for anybody to do there. Maybe you're not interested in hunting, or you may be nervous about hunting in the hunt. You just came for the show, but here's another little carrot for you. You can get some water race points or something.
And that's a fun event.
Yeah, that's always fun to watch, for sure. And then the night hunt is the same on Saturday as Friday. Have the 8 p.m. deadline, $10 entry fee, 90-minute hunt. We're going to do the top 10, same. They're going to get a Bright Eyes light for our top 10. But pretty soon after we get it back, we're going to try to get because there will be a final cast to determine the senior hunt national champion, 1 hour late round cast on Saturday night. And to form that final cast, we're going to first take the highest combined double cast winners. And if we don't have 4 of those, then we'll go to single night highest cast win score.
Yeah, so that's a good way to, you don't have to have the highest score each night. Double cast winners are going to be considered first. So it's a good way to do it. And that's only for the senior division. In the juniors, it's a little different. But I think that's a good that way, because it's a lot for some of the younger kids that aren't old enough to go out in a late round.
Yeah, we had it in Miami, Oklahoma a few years back, and when we were about to send out the junior cast, I was looking at those kids, and they were already zapped. They've been playing all day. They've been outside running around. They've done the bench show. They've done this and that, and they were exhausted and almost felt guilty sending them back out. And I made a note then that let's do away with the junior division final cast. We'll save that for the older kids. So to crown our junior national hunt champion, we're just gonna get the highest scoring double cast winner. If for some reason we don't have a double cast winner, then we'll go by single night high score. But it's as simple as that.
Yeah, and the other thing that I like is to be eligible for the award or hunt in the final cast, you must complete your hunt times each of the 2 nights to be eligible. That's a good thing.
Yeah, and there's some pretty good awards here. Talking about the senior division final 4. First place is going to get a $3,000 tuition award, national championship trophy, and embroidered jacket. And then if you make it to the final cast and you just fall a little bit short, 2nd through 4th are all going to get a $2,000 tuition award and a plaque to go along with that. So, or a trophy or a plaque. So there's $10,000 in tuition award right there that's $9,000 right there. And then the junior national champion will actually get a $1,000 tuition award along with a national championship trophy and an embroidered jacket. So $10,000 in tuition awards up for grabs this weekend. And we'll probably talk about that right after this break.
Nice trophies, hats, everything. It's a good deal. With Eukanuba, stamina is the one difference I'm seeing. When I'm running hair up north, my dogs will put on 10, 12, 15 miles of solid running, and they just don't tire as easily or as quickly. Oftentimes, my work schedule does not allow me to have the desired physical conditioning on my dogs, but even then, as many as 25 or more miles a day of hard running is just another day in the office. To me, it's been apparent Eukanuba's 30-20 sport formula is making that difference. Eukanuba, the official performance dog nutrition partner of UKC.
Yeah, so hey, let's talk a little bit about that $10,000 that's up for grabs and tuition money at the youth nationals. I've been doing that every year, and that's a good deal. You know, it's not to get too far into it because you can read about it a little bit on the ad, but it's really simple to do. I actually just had an example of this in the past several weeks. Brooklyn Roller, who won back in, I think, Seneca, Missouri, back several years ago, finally got to cash hers in. And she emailed in and said that she was ready to use it. All we needed from her was an invoice from where she was going. They emailed me an invoice of the money due. I sent that to the accountant, and it took one day, and a check was on its way. So it's as simple as that, and it's a good deal. The only caveat to it is that it must be redeemed by the recipient's 21st birthday, or else it reverts back to the UKC Youth Fund. But most folks are paying for either college, trade, or vocational school, or something like that right after high school, anyways. So
yeah, you're right. It is a great deal, and we've got kids that have won or got into this Final Four multiple times, enough that it really helps them quite a bit, makes a difference. I think I heard Jamie Estep talking about his son, where he basically, with the tuition prizes or that he won at youth events and this and that, pretty much got him through his first year of college.
yeah, I think it might have been last year or the year before that. Drake Chastain could say the same thing. He accrued a lot of money over several years.
Georgia.
So, yeah.
Yeah, there's Drake. He's another one. He's married now. Got a kid too. So it's just time just flies. But there's a lot of a lot of folks that we've been able to help out a little bit with their colleges. And it doesn't have to be just any kind of continuing education after high school.
Yeah, exactly. Let's talk about I want to briefly mention the participation waivers. If you look at the event ad online or in your magazine, you'll see that the waiver is right there, a part of the ad. So you can either print it out or tear it out of your magazine and have a parent or guardian sign it, or else we'll have plenty of them there at the event, and that's usually what people do. They just sign it there. So we just need that to kind of cover our bases as far as if a kid were to get injured or hurt. Or the biggest thing is the media taking pictures of youth and posting them, and we want to be able to share those pictures and things. Sure. So that's the use for that. Nothing too scary there. So lodging. This is a place that is in the country. It's in the boonies, so there's limited lodging. There's some hotels within. You're gonna have to drive 20 or so minutes for a hotel.
Yeah, and sometimes this is you said it. It's in a rural setting. It's out in the country, and it'll have the feel of a coon hunt. Like a coonhound event should. So it's also out there, but also in a place like that, why oftentimes you are away from hotels a little bit further. It's not just a mile down the road like it might be at a lot of fairgrounds or something like that. But hey, I think that's okay. I think most of these kids are going to spend all day at the event. So 20 minutes, that's not that far either. But yeah.
And I kind of tried to Google some options before I came down. And if you just Google campgrounds around the area, there's a few options around there. So if you're interested in maybe getting away from the fairgrounds and pulling your camper, or even setting up a tent and camping primitively, you can do that as well. So,
I don't think they have hookups at the club. Not. Yeah, no hookups or anything like that. But
yeah. And also Airbnbs, they seem to be catching on more and more. So you may just double check that. There may be some places within the general area that you could do that at. So. Food. I talked to Tyler Batterson right before I came down here, and the kitchen is going to be up and running over the course of the weekend. So you won't have to drive out for food if you do leave. There's a lot of restaurant options. He told me in Bloomfield or Milton, Troy, those kind of cities around there. Ottumwa, I think, is where we've had TOC regions before. So if you do leave out and don't want to eat at the kitchen there on site, you can drive out a little ways. And like I said, probably going to be between 15 and 20 minutes to go get you some food at a restaurant as well.
Yeah.
So. I mentioned Carolina Coon Hunters. I talked to him. Of course, he said he's going to be there. So that's one vendor I know of for sure that's going to be there. Tyler wasn't sure if any more were going to show up. He hadn't had any conversations with any other ones, so I don't know if any local ones for there are going to be there. But Carolina Coon Hunters, they have a big operation. They're going to have anything you need there. I promise you that.
That, and they're driving a long, long ways. They're coming from the Carolinas, But that you mentioned his son, Avery, but. he's there for a lot more than just to be there with his supplies.
Yeah. And I want to briefly just mention the host clubs here. Tyler, I kind of I had an idea of where I thought the event would be this year, and it kind of fell through on me. So I reached out to Tyler. He had showed interest in it before, and he stepped up for it. And this is an event we've talked about on here several times. If you're looking to host an event where your club's going to make a few grand, this probably may not be the event for you. But if you're trying to make a difference in the coon hunting world and prolong something that we all love, this could be the event for you. And having said that, it kind of feels good that I think I have the next 2 or 3 years kind of pegged down on locations from clubs that have already shown interest, that are in good areas, that host youth events and have good participation and try new things and are innovative. So I'm really excited about what the rest of the 2020s hold as far as youth nationals goes.
Yeah, and there's quite a few people around the country that do a lot and put a lot of effort into youth events. And hey, Tyler's going to do the same thing. I remember one of the last times I was out there for a breed day event. I think it was Blue Tick Days 5 or 6, 7 years ago. And I remember seeing Tyler and some of his younger buddies from the club. At that time, they weren't officers yet, but man, they were doing a lot of the club work around there, with the water races and the field trials and all that stuff. And I remember watching that and seeing it. It You see that, we need people like that. And here Tyler and his gang are still, his crew is they're doing something good, and you can expect them to put a lot of effort into it.
Yeah.
And that said, not things we can't always have things to be perfect, but and I think most folks realize that, and not everything's always perfect and works out the way you want it to work out, maybe, but yeah. It's not for a lack of trying and putting in the effort, and Tyler and his crew are certainly going to be doing that. You can bank on that.
You can count on it. That's
Mhm.
exactly right. So, and real quick before we kind of want to talk about some of the history of the event, but before we get there, I thought it might be a good idea to talk about some rules that are specific to youth events, for the parents to hear, for the handlers to hear. If you're listening to this on the way to the event, which is what we hope you're doing.
Yeah.
So let's talk about a couple of those. And right now I have the youth event master hound checklist in front of me. Kind of looking at that. I'm looking at peg number 5 here, and it's kind of bolded here: parents and guardians. So this is for whenever the master hound is reading this beforehand. We want to get the attention of the parent and guardians, and listen to this very closely, because there's some need to know things in here. And the first thing is imperative. You have to have this. Every handler that is 13 years or younger must be accompanied by an adult other than those accompanying their castmates.
Yeah,
Simple as
that's
that.
it, and that's a must, and that's for liability purposes for not just the club but for UKC as well. And also, don't just select somebody that's on the cast, or a dad that's on the cast, or a mom that's going with their kid to also be reliable for the. No, they need to one person, one guardian or parent per each kid, designated.
I made a few bullet points here that you can also read through here and see, but it says you may assist in physically handling a dog if needed.
It's a big one that always comes up. Yes, absolutely. The parents can, if they have a dog that is too, a strong dog, a kid's having a hard time hanging on to, that's not a problem at all. Anybody can help them with that.
People get hung on the word handling, and I've kind of explained this to people a few times. When you see the word handling here, we're talking about leashing a dog and leading it through the woods. We're not talking about calling the dog.
Mm-hmm.
Two different kinds of handling here.
Mm-hmm.
So another thing,
physically handling.
That's right. Physically is the main word there. Yep. Next one here says, keep in mind that this event is for the kids. Stay out of their way and allow the judge and the handlers to do their thing. Any form of coaching a handler as it relates to calling their dog or questioning a judge's decision is strictly prohibited.
It is. And that's sometimes, as a parent, that can be a tough thing to do.
Yeah.
You're standing in the background and your dog that the kid's hunting, and he's opening and nothing's happening here, or maybe your kid made a call and oh man, that was not his dog. And I can see where it can be tough being a parent sitting back. But you know what? I just read something here this weekend about kids events like that, and how things like that happen, and parents talking about their kids did this or did that. For instance, maybe a dog went in and struck, and it's got just a very a good locate that anybody can call. The dog goes in there, trees first, and the kid doesn't even get him treed in 3 minutes, or takes last and last. they have those stories, but
Yeah,
hey, it's for the kids and they needed to be doing the calling, and it does not work well when the parents try to get involved. It just
that's
doesn't,
right.
That's why you do your homework, I guess, but even then, they're on a stage sometimes where, hey, it can be intimidating. It depends on the kid, but sometimes it can be a little intimidating, but I can guarantee you they're not going to have nearly as much fun if we have parents being critical of their kids or uh, taking the fun away from it. It should also be fun. It's
Yeah,
not always just about winning,
yeah.
irregardless.
This is youth nationals here. It's not parent nationals, but
That's right.
uh,
That's right. And
that's it.
I feel like most parents do very well in that. They really do.
Yeah. There's a lot of education that's going to be going on this weekend, and I can promise you they're going to have really good judges here selected. We know a lot of those guys in this area. They're really familiar with the rule book, and I promise you they're going to put in their homework. And you were talking about that. It took me back to it was 2020 Youth Nationals when it got pushed back to the fall
Oh, yeah.
because of COVID. And actually, that year, Jason Smith, who a lot of people are familiar with Jason Smith there in Indiana, and his daughter Maddie won Youth Nationals that year. But on the final cast, we had gathered the dogs and we had about, who knows, 30 minutes left. And she has the lead. And we're walking down this road bed to go cut the dogs loose. And he said, listen, you got a lead. There's no need to, jump the gun, play it back, play it safe. And they cut the dogs loose. They got struck, whatever. They were hunting the dog River, who won Autumn Oaks a few years prior to that. And one bark, let out one locate bark, and she booked it. And then you just heard heading down through the country, and she just put her head on her helmet. Hey, mistakes are going to be made. Adults make handling mistakes. The kids make handling mistakes, and I promise you, I get it. If my daughter's playing soccer, I feel like I'm mad at it, but you gotta let them figure it out, and that's part of it. Them growing up, they're going to make mistakes and they're going to learn from mistakes, and you just sit back there and grit your teeth and bear it and move on with it. It's fun. They're learning as long as they're having a good time. It was a successful event.
Yeah, sometimes parents can also, other spectators can take the fun right out of it for kids pretty quickly, and it could be, it doesn't even have to be your own parent, it might be somebody else's parent just because of the way they're acting or what they're maybe something they're saying or getting involved when they shouldn't be. It can be just take the fun away from other kids too, not just your own kids, but other kids, so.
Don't let your ego get in the way of your kid having a good learning experience and having a good cast.
That's right.
And then just on the same thing, I'll read the last sentence here, or the last two sentences here. Getting involved in any scoring matters or discrepancies, regardless of your personal opinions, is strictly prohibited. Judges have the authority to scratch a dog handler for spectator violations. Imagine that, getting your kid scratched from youth nationals.
Yeah.
And then number 6, I think, is less about us preaching or anything like that, just telling you about a rule that is just for youth events, and hopefully people are familiar with this if you hunt some youth events.
I'll bet a lot of them aren't. I'll bet a lot of them aren't, because it doesn't come up very often unless you may be at a youth event, and it's because they read it off on the checklist, and they will read it off each night. The master hounds will. Tim will be sure he follows all the rules, so I'm sure he's going to be reading that to you. But here's just something good to think about and remember going into it.
Yeah. And this bullet point says warnings. Hunt will be held using championship rules with the following exceptions. So they're going by our championship rules in our coonhound rule book, except for these 2 exceptions that are listed on this master hounds checklist list. And it says handlers failing to strike their dog on or before the 3rd bark will be issued a first offense warning before being penalized. Second offense will result in strike points being minused. On the 3rd offense, the dog will be scratched.
Yeah, the difference with this rule, in the rule book, it'll say on the first offense you're going to get strike points minused, and the second offense you're going to be scratched. But when it comes to youth events, it's a 3-step process. The first time they're just going to get a warning, and they won't get the points.
Yeah,
you can't just have one in your pocket and you're not going to get, if it's determined you called the wrong dog or didn't strike your dog, or in this case, we'll get to that. That's something else, calling the wrong dog, I guess. But yeah, they're going to ask you for a call. The first time, you're just going to get a warning. So, in second offense, and that kind of goes back to what I was talking a little bit ago. Where the parent's standing back there and the dog's barked 3-4 times, and maybe they don't know it, or maybe they're just not sure, and you're thinking, But if that is the case, normally the dog would get minus on the first offense. But here, in kids events, they do get a warning the first time.
Yeah.
Second time is they're going to get minus. Third time is then they'd be scratched. So they want to know they want to also learn their dog.
That's right.
But hey, that's good. It can be bad, and I say bad enough even for some adults. And I feel like some good. That's the kind of the difference between good handlers and great handlers. They learn their dog's mouth. There's always something. You know, sometimes you get into casts where you hear all the time, well, they sound so identical. You know, but the great handlers will hinge on something. They hunt with their dog enough. They hear that little twirly at the end, or something that they recognize as being unique, that they know one with confidence that it's their dog. But that's, hey, we also got to remember a lot of these kids, they don't know your dogs as well as you might, but
yeah. I think of
they can miscall dogs
one
unintentionally.
One warning is good, but
Yeah.
it's that minus and scratch is still there because a kid should be hunting with a dog a few times before there should be some homework involved.
Absolutely should.
Yep.
Absolutely. And if they don't, they shouldn't expect to not get caught up in things like this.
Yep. And the second bullet point, which you alluded to a little bit there, handlers calling the wrong dog will be issued a first offense warning before being penalized. Second offense will result in points being minus. Third offense will result in the dog being scratched.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. It's calling the wrong dog. Just because you get a warning of the first time doesn't mean you get to keep those points. You're going to get a warning and not keep those points, just to clarify that.
Yeah, that's right. So, hey, you said it might be fun to kind of go through our while we were off air a little bit. You talked about it might be fun to look at some of the past winners and see who can be added to this list of. And if you go back through here, there's some pretty notable names on here of people who have, and dogs and handlers that have made it big in the coonhound world.
Started in 2001.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, back at 2001. Going through here, some names you see, man. There's some.
Yeah, 2001 was a kid named Kenneth Emerson. I do not know who that is, and we should have maybe looked it up before we decided to do this. We just kind of did this midstream here while we were on a little break here. But he hunted a dog named Mondo that won the very first night hunt in 2001. Kenneth Emerson.
Yeah, 2002, Todd Perry won it with a Tree and Walker coonhound owned by Mark Perry, named Night Champion Perry's Ridge Run and Bo Sackett.
Yeah, and 2003 was a dog that was owned by Amanda Alexander in Pennsylvania. Alexander's Duster was the Tree and Walker's name, handled by a kid named Nick Brown, Nick is from Ohio. I want to say he's from the Ashtabula area and up in northeastern Ohio somewhere. Nick Brown, 2003.
Yeah, 04, a Tree and Walker coonhound named Rock River Skeeter that was handled by Ronnie Lester. Won it. Bill Napier on that dog.
Yeah, 2005 was a guy that I think most people will know. Jerry Mall owned the dog, a Tree and Walker female named Kiss This, and this was my first one there at Medina, Ohio. James Tyree II, one of James Tyree's boys out there, won that year.
Emily Free won it all in 2006 with Newsom's Dan. That was an English coonhound owned by John Newsom.
Yeah, Emily is one of them. We talked about the continuing education stuff. Emily, she used all of hers and made good use of it, and she was very active. She's also from Eastern Ohio, or in Ohio somewhere. I think it's northeastern Ohio. Next one, 2007, Booger Hollow Dixie, that was owned by Robert Raxter, the same one that owned Booger Hollow Mojo, and Tony Bergamy from Georgia now. Tony's boy, Dawson Bergamy, won the hunt in 2007 with that dog. I want to say that was in North Carolina. What I remember about it, it was so hot in North Carolina that year, like 100 degrees hot. I was worried about kids and their dogs overeating, but yeah, Dawson. Hey, Dawson's another one that did pretty well. He was in that. He got with winning scholarships and things like that. So
yeah. Next one here in 2008, it'd be pretty notable because this was his first of 2 times winning it. A little bit of a spoiler here, I guess, but Ryan Frederick won it in 2008 with a Tree and Walker coonhound owned by Kenny Sparks named Stylish Clyde.
Yeah, Ryan was from Tennessee, I think.
That's
Alan
right.
Frederick's boy. I remember that. Yeah. So 2009, Jerry Back, his daughter Madison won it, and that's when we were in Pennsylvania. I talked about Trevor, about Corey being in the dunk tank there. That was the year that Jerry's daughter Madison won it with a Tree and Walker female named Mad Maggie. Hey, we're talking about a dunk tank. Have you ever used a dunk tank or bring one to to youth nationals, you make sure you fill it up like several days before the event so it has time to warm up a little bit.
Guarantee it.
I had to sit in that thing, and that's the one part that we kind of didn't think about. It was going to be warm, and how cool would it be to have a dunk tank? And yeah, it was till you had to be the one sitting in that cold water tank. Getting sideways here, but yeah, that was in Pennsylvania, so that 2009, I guess, is when that was.
The next year in 2010, Caitlin McGinnis won it with Tricolor Nowhere's Banker, Trey Walker Coonhound owned by Duke Prue and Jason Edens.
Yeah, I want to say that was I think one of Nick Brown's friends there in northeastern Indiana, Caitlin. I remember that one, Nowhere's Banker. 2011 was Wyatt's Midnight Showcase. You'll remember this one, Wyatt Barnett, right there in 10 Mile, Tennessee. He owned and handled that dog. I remember that one was at the fairgrounds, or I guess wherever. Was it at the fairgrounds? I think it was held there. It was a big open pavilion building there.
Yeah,
I remember Alan Roberts that a little bit early in the day. He's like, man, there's just nobody here. He was worried. And that ended up being our record. We had record numbers there by the time the hunt rolled around that night.
Yeah.
But yeah, the local there, Wyatt Barnett. And you'll see him with, I see him every now and then helping the
Hoop and
Taylor, yeah, with their stuff, with their supply business. But yeah, Wyatt was a good young kid.
Yeah.
Tennessee.
Next year in 2012, Mindy Carroll Register won it with her own dog. She go on with Kevin, or I guess it was her dad maybe. And this dog was Memes Buck Creek Roller, an English coonhound.
Yeah, they were from Georgia, and I remember she kind of cleaned house that weekend that year that she won it, 2012. Next year was Ryan Frederick again, won it 2 times, this time with a red bone owned by Jesse Copeland. That dog's name was Tennessee Sweet Ben. So Ryan was a 2-time winner.
Yeah. Caleb Driggs won it the year after that in 2014 with Chandler's Wipeout Grace, owned by Rock Chandler. That was a Tree and Walker.
Yeah, and then 2015 was another Tree and Walker out of Georgia again. I'm telling you, we had a lot of kids and dogs out of Georgia to win. Joe McKenzie was the owner of Little Molly that was hunted by Hutch Wheeler. 2015 there, Hutch won it.
Then this is the first time you'll see Drake's name on here. Won't be the last. Drake Chastain won it in 2016 with a dog he co-owned with Mark Looney, an English coonhound named Trigger.
Yeah, I think that same year he got Trigger in the World Finals and got him to the World Finals in Florida, Illinois. I think it was, if I remember right. He was just a young kid, and yeah. Next year, 2017, was a year of plot on it. That year, Hunter Harris. He hunted a dog, a Larry Brown's from Missouri, I think, named Pin Oaks Charlie Brown. But that was 2017. I think that was in Seneca, Missouri. We talked about it being there in Seneca, right on the Oklahoma line. Hunter Harris won it.
The next year would have been the first year you kind of split them into a senior and junior division winners.
Yep, 2018.
Yeah, so Drake Chastain again won the senior portion of it with Double Rap Buster, his coonhound that he owned with his dad, Wayne. And the junior winner was actually little Izzy Ish, who has grown up. She was competing for competing for Queen of Hunt this weekend. She was in the running for that at English Days. Here when she won the junior national championship, that was with Red Ruby Hard Time Buck, English coonhound owned by her dad, Seth.
Yeah, Izzy's she's sports. She does good. You see a lot of her playing ball in school and a lot of different things like that. She's just all about outdoor activities, and she's a good handler and yeah, very successful. Speaking of world hunts, I think last year, wasn't she in the world finals too, or maybe 2 years ago in Tennessee, she had a dog in the finals in the top 100. 2019, you talked about this. Well, talked about the dog, Schooner River, the dog owned by Jason Smith and Doodle Murphy. Drew Estep, he won the senior division part of it. And I want to say that was in Peru, Indiana that year that he won that. And then the junior division was won by Terry Tappy's dog, or his son, Wade Tappy. It was a blue tick coonhound. You might have heard of him. This was back in 2019, a dog named Country Club.
Just a puppy then.
Yep. Oh, yeah. So you hear that name Country Club a lot, but here was little Wade handled him to a junior win that year.
Yeah, that was my first youth national, so I'll always fondly remember that one.
Yeah, and I remember he was pretty excited too.
He came dragging in before the hunt, but after the hunt, he was wide awake.
I remember that. Yeah.
Next year, 2020, was the COVID year I talked about. It got pushed back to, I think, September, October. I'd have to look back.
Yeah, I
But
think it was October.
for the second year in a row, the dog Schooner River won, owned by Jason Smith and Doyle Murphy. But this year had a different handler. That was Maddie Smith, the one I mentioned a little bit ago.
Mhm.
That error that she thought she made didn't end up costing her in the long run. She still won that one.
Yeah.
And the junior division winner that year was a black and tan coonhound owned by Frank Jones and Annette Jones, and it was named Toby. And the handler of that dog was Miss Haley Badillion.
There you go. And then in 2022 or 2022,
21.
21. I'm jumping ahead one year. Yeah, a dog named Schooner River Heart Attack won it. Dog owned by Matt Brookshire. That was handled by Judd Koshko. Judd's a kid from Missouri, Walt Koshko's boy. He's one of those that has done very well in sports and handling dogs, and he's turned into a great handler. He won it in 2021.
Yeah, we just used his tuition money last year for lineman school.
There you go. And then the junior division was won by Ryan Bills. He hunted a dog named Star Comet. I think you were talking about Ryan a little bit, just a little guy.
Ryan, I think he's from up in the Northwest, so around Iowa, so we're liable to see him come make a run at it again this year.
There you go.
2022 winners, Insane Diamond Attack, Joseph Yoder on that dog, and Jolyn Beachy was the senior national championship that year. And then the junior national champion was Colton Shockley, and this may be the one you're thinking of. Big Boomer was about 3 times as big as Colton was.
Yeah, no, it's not. I know which one this is too, but yeah.
And that's a dog owned by his dad, Cody Shockley. So that was Colton Shockley.
Yeah, that's when you went back to Medina, I think.
That was in Medina. That's right.
Medina again, yeah. And then the last year's winner, senior winner, was Brooke Sneed out of, South Carolina? North Carolina.
Yep.
A dog owned by her dad, Daniel Sneed, a walker named No Name Ep, was the senior winner. And then the junior winner was a blue tick, Country's Big Nasty, that was handled by Josh Ashley. The dog was owned by Brian Adams, but Josh Ashley won that last year. Brooke Sneed, Josh Ashley. So there you go. There was the lineup of youth nationals hunt winners, and I don't know. We're going to hear in another couple of months here, I guess, month and a half. We're going to add to this list.
Yeah,
pretty elite list here.
It is. You see a lot of names on there that you still see today, and I'm ready to add to that list. It's going to be interesting to see how it plays out. We could see a different name from up there in the Northwest. You never know. Well, we went through the hunt winners. Let's take a look at the show winners over the past years. And man, this handler list here reads out like a who's who of coonhound showing.
It really does. Sure does.
Well,
I kind of forgot about some of these. You look at the list again, and you're just reminded again of, and yeah, a bunch of them that I remember.
Yeah, that's right. Starting out in 2001, where our bench show national champion was Erin Kersey. She handled a dog named Sidearm Big Deal, a tree and walker coonhound owned by Lori and Jimmy Mills.
Yeah, I kind of know all of those connections. Lori and Jimmy are from Alabama, and they're known to have red bones or whatever, but they also had a couple of tree and walkers, and Big Deal was a dog that won a lot. Matter of fact, I remember I judged the Hoosier State what do we call that? It was an event held at our club, the Hoosier State Hunt, I guess it was what we called it. And that was my winner. I remember he was easily the winner that year. Erin Kersey was a kid from around over there by Greencastle at where Redbone Days has been a bunch. What's that little town there?
Brazil.
Yeah. That's where he was from, and he was very active in the youth events back in the day. So yeah, Erin Kersey won that very first bench show with a nice dog. And then in 2002, here a black and tan, again owned by Amanda Alexander, and guess who? Amanda Beelan was the handler that year. She won the second ever bench show with black and tan named Black Hawk.
Yeah. The next year in 2003, Joe Moore, who's still winning shows to this day, won youth nationals with a Plott coonhound named Little Joe, owned by Jason and Joseph Webster.
Yeah, Joe Moore, he's another married guy now, and he's still doing it. He's pretty cool to see some of these names like that on
Sure
there.
Is.
2004, Sandhills Black Beauty was a black and tan that is owned by Kimberly Thompson, that won it that year by with Ethan Kennedy handling the dog.
In 2005, the winner was Cole Vanover. He was handling a tree and walker coonhound owned by Doris Webb named Magic Man.
Yeah, I remember that was my first one there at Medina again. But yeah, there's Cole Vanover, and anybody that shows dogs a lot knows who Cole Vanover is. And yeah, he also came up through some of the youth stuff and was very active there. And little Magic Man, he was a dog that was owned by Doris and Roger Webb there in Silver Lake, Indiana. It's a dog that I saw in the shows a lot, and did a lot of winning. 2006, Plot Hound Liberty Bell, County Line Liberty Bell's a dog that we've heard of a lot, obviously. That's owned by Christina Farthing, and her daughter Chelsea Officer won it that year with Liberty Bell, 2006.
The next year, in 2007, Cody Maney won the show with a plot hound named Braveheart that was owned by Beverly Millage.
Yeah, that dog was out of North Carolina, and I think Cody is also from that area over there. He used to be very active in the shows, and I think today, I think he's still doing a lot of hunting anymore. But 2008, there's another familiar name, Autumn Beeland again. This time she won it with a little dog, or a walker dog named Little Angel that was owned by her little sister, Amelia. So this makes Autumn a two-time winner now.
And they're a bench show judge there.
Yep.
The next year, in 2009, we see Bridget Clary won with her own dog named Clary's High Speed. This Butt is for You, a Tree and Walker coonhound. Bridget owns some of the most successful dogs over the past several years. So
Done
this
a lot
was
of winning
one of her starts, huh?
Yep, won a lot at our major shows now, or today she is. Here's another one, 2010, a name you'll remember or recognize, Melinda Hicks from West Virginia with West Fork River, rumor has it. 2010 is when Melinda won it.
Yeah. The next year, 2011, Justin Hogan won it with his own dog. So that's kind of cool, a 3-year run there of people winning it with their own dogs. And Justin owned the dog Hardwood Abbey, Tree and Walker.
Yeah, I think we talked about Justin a lot, didn't we? He's the one in, is he the one in Pennsylvania? No, a different one. That's a different Hogan. Different Hogan. Here's another in 2012, a dog, this time in English. So I think we went from a black and tan to a walker to now an English. Will's Mountain Bullberry, Amelia Beeland again, and here's Autumn again, your judge for this year. 3-time winner now. 2012 was the 3rd time that Autumn won it.
The next year, 2013, Kyle Flynn won with his own dog again. He won with Sean Flynn, and that dog was Lady Annabelle, a blue tick.
Yeah, in 2014, a dog owned by Philip Newland from Ohio. He had a lot of nice walker dogs. This was one of them, Gold Dust War Eagle. Vincent Abrams won in 2014 handling this dog.
Looks like 2015, you guys split it into a senior and junior division winners. The senior winner that year was actually a pretty successful hunt handler that you see nowadays, Zach Boring, and he was handling a dog named Rockstar's Legend in the Making that Justin Cassidy owned, a Tree and Walker.
Yep.
And the junior winner that year was Lily Sawville, handling a Tree and Walker coonhound named Diamond Rock's Little Country Boy, owned by Angela and Dustin Litwiller.
Yeah, that's Angela Cable now.
Cable.
Yeah, so it's one of her nieces, maybe, or I don't know, one of her relatives there. But yeah, Zach Boring, he's got his own business today. 2016 senior winner in the show was a walker owned by Kelly Myers of Pennsylvania named Backwoods Boondocker, and Corey Miller. It was actually Kelly's son Corey that won with Boondocker that year. The senior division. The junior division winner was a dog now owned by Melinda Hicks and Megan Perez, but was handled by Hunter Bengala, also from Ohio. She won it with a dog named West Fork River Trouble in Paradise.
2017, we see Jessie Brooks winning it with her black and tan hound that she co-owned with Angela Brooks, and this dog was named Small Times Split Second Striker. And then we talked about Judd Koshko a little bit ago winning the Hunt National Championship. Back in 2017, he actually won the junior division in the Show National Championship with a dog named Deepwater Ike, a Tree and Walker that was owned by Jess Dickerson, Cody Myrtle, and Russ Meyer.
There you go. 2018, here's another name you'll remember. Hannah Emery of North Carolina won with a dog named Wabash River Muddy Banks. That was a red bone. She's also won a lot. 2018 was Hannah's year. And the junior winner was a young lady from West Virginia, Ambriana Wire won it with a treeing walker owned by Steve Randolph named Cherry Bomb. I think who was judging that year? Corey Groover judged it that year. Sure did. I remember the one, we talked about the judges putting on seminars, and in this, he put on a show seminar. One of the things that he did that nobody else had was he talked about the clothing that you wear, the color of clothing and how it might clash or help me see. His big point was, I want to see your dog, present your dog, and don't wear something, or if you wear this or that might just blend in. He wants something that makes their dog stand out, not
That's
something that almost silly. I remember that Corey did that in his, but hey, that's just it's things like that come up. I thought that was pretty neat. He had that in his seminar.
Absolutely.
2018.
The next year, that was 2019. That was my first year again there in Peru, Indiana, and I saw Ava Newcomb win the senior portion of it with her own hound, an English coonhound named Newcomb's Money Moves. And then I got to see a young girl named Morgan Elburn, who started her run of just flat winning everything that year in 2019. And she was showing a dog that she co-owned with Lisa Hunziker, a tree walker named Red Eagle Outlaw in the city. They made quite a pair there. Morgan Elburn, that was her start of just making an incredible run over the next several years.
Just a super handler, her and Ava both that year. Next year, it kind of kept it in the family. Senior winner was Morgan's sister, Haley Rorvik. That was showed a leopard hound that was owned by her sister Morgan and her grandfather Curtis Elburn. Her mom Nikki and her aunt Andy owned this dog, two-timing Romeo leopard dog that Haley won with the senior division. And then the junior division, back-to-back for Morgan with a dog named Red Eagle Outlaw in the city, same one she won with the year before, treeing walker owned by Morgan and Lisa Hunziker.
That next year down in Miami, Oklahoma, in the heat, in that Oklahoma heat, we saw Hannah Cable win the senior portion of it with her own plot hound, the Midnight Gambler. That's a duo that's made a lot of noise over the past several years. And again, Morgan Elburn, she won it for the third year in a row. This time she switched up dogs a little bit. She won it with Rhinestone Cowgirl, a tree walker owned by her sister Haley Rorvik, herself, and her other sister Abby Sparks.
Yep. There's Hannah again. Hannah's she's just so smooth in the way she handles dogs, but well beyond her age there handling dogs, I feel like, and can compete with all of these we've mentioned so far. They can compete with any adults. Here we go. In 2022, another name that we see does a lot, very capable, Katie Wood from Indiana with Wood's All Blue Blackjack, a blue tick dog that's owned by Katie and her sister Brooklyn, and then also Jason Wood. And then the junior division winner was Morgan's sister or brother, Colton Rorvik, won with She's a Wonder too. That was a walker that's owned by Morgan and Haley, and then also Danielle Champ and Abby Sparks. But Colton, he got in on the action in the junior division, won it, 2022.
And then just last year in 2023, our senior winner was Mr. Hunter Shiflett. He was showing a blue tick male named Rockin' W's Look at Me that he co-owned with Whitney Killo. And the junior winner was Brooke Bally, and she was handling Skyline Stay in Your Lane, a tree and walker owned by Megan O'Connor and Beth Jenkins. You know what kind of stands out to me is we're talking about your first years in this capacity working for UKC and going to youth nationals, and you look at those names, and these people have won world championships and Autumn Oaks and Winter Classic, and they've been down in Westminster, and they've been at all these major shows. They've had success at Premier and on the biggest stages of the coonhound world. And I have a feeling that when I look at these names from 2019 to 2023 and the people that I've seen crowned here, when I look back at this list in 15 years, these folks are going to have accomplished great things, and they already have, but I'm kind of excited to see what else they can accomplish in the future.
Yeah, so there's two lists, the hunt list and the show list that we just went through, and it's pretty amazing to go back through and look through that. And hey, look forward to see who's going to get their names added to this list come in July here in Iowa. So
really looking forward to it, and we really hope to see you guys there. Alan, I know we both have new Dogtra Pathfinder 2s. How are you liking yours so far?
I'm liking it. I've even had the opportunity now to use mine where I didn't have service, where I download the map of that area, and it works flawlessly. Love it.
I agree. I really like my Dogtra Pathfinder 2 as well. I've used it quite a bit the past few months. I really like the crystal clear maps. I like that it doesn't lose service very much, and I don't have many bad things to say about it at all. Dogtra Pathfinder 2, the official GPS collar partner of UKC. Thank you for listening to the UKC Hunting Ops Podcast. Be sure to give us a follow so you don't miss any of our new episodes or content.